Hey guys, welcome to the Rock and Road Show. Today the star of the show is sleeping. He's taking a little nap. I had a friend of mine get on my butt about the fact that I do not use a tripod. No, I'm not going to use a tripod. Ipso facto, the name of the show is Rock and Road Show. Road Show, that means you're going somewhere, you're doing something, you're going down the road. Okay. And the star is sleeping. And also want to give a shout out to the buyer of this particular piece on my eBay channel, which is TEQUILAsunTrading, all one word. Vinny, yo, Vinny. Pork the claw, Vinny. We're going to have a talk. Thank you, Vinny, for buying this piece. I originally wanted to sell it for about $400 because it's absolutely really freaking nice and very old. The stones up on top are between 200 years to 2,000 years old. Yes. I put 200 to 400 on the actual eBay write-up that I did on this, but there is a small possibility they could be as old as 2,000 years old because they were used as money. And they used to be strung on cords, natural cords that were hand twisted, made from yak hair. I'm not making this up. I used to live there, so I know. Very cool stuff. And they had great food. Nepal is about 30,000. Well, Nepal itself, the whole entire country, the Himalayas, Mount Everest is 30,000 feet high. And the towns there below Everest are probably in the 20,000 region, feet high. I used to live there. And in the summertime, it's 52 degrees in the daytime and a very cool breeze. In the summertime, you wear pants and socks and boots and sweaters and a jacket when you leave the house. Yeah, there's no swimming in Nepal, not really. So Vinny got this one for a lot less than $400. He got a really good deal. He got it for about half off. And I was looking. Yep, iPhone 15. Has nothing to do with the tripod. Okay, so I wanted to tell you some different interesting tricks of the trade. I want to tell you how to tell if this is real coral or not. Sometimes you can tell real coral, which did not come from the Himalayas because that high up, they didn't get these from, there's no ocean there. Yeah, they got them by trade, back and forth, some type of trade, probably in India. So there's really no telling how old these ones actually are. They've got a hole in the center. The hole in the center was used for stringing them on the cord. And the holes had silver stuffed through these by the design artist that made this cuff bracelet. And then the silver was split at the top. I'll show you. Just like these. So it looked like a star or a flower. Isn't it neat? I think that's really beautiful. And it was extremely difficult to find any kind of bracelets like this with the stars still on the top because it would just snag and pull right back out real easy. It could probably be redone. I don't think it'd be too difficult to get a little bit of silver wire, cram it back down in there, and then try to split the top. So what they did was they somehow probably put it in there while it was warm. The tiny bead of silver while it was warm, and then split it and spread it. So I got 6 or 7 different interesting things I want to tell you about this. So coral can be tested like a lot of gemstones, like pearls and real opal, a lot of different stuff, and turquoise. That happened to me recently. Somebody sold me something online I sent back. It was supposed to be real turquoise, and it was plastic, and I could taste it. It tasted disgusting. You can do the pirate test on this, and you can scratch these on your tooth. And if they're real, if a stone that you're buying, or a piece of coral, or opal, or turquoise, or anything else, if you rub it on your tooth and it feels like a rock, that's because it is a rock. And it's a really nice field test to use for a lot of stuff to see if it's real or not. Another field test you want to do when you're out in the field, because I found out that a lot of foreign sellers and foreign makers, they don't know what they're doing, or they'll just tell you a story to sell you something. So a lot of people, when I lived in these countries, I lived in Nepal, India, Turkey, and Tibet. after I came home from the Gulf War. So that was probably right around 90, 91. And so when I lived there, did you do anything to make a sale? And yeah, there was some dishonesty. But a lot of these people also didn't know the word sterling. They just didn't understand sterling. They only stood silver is anything silver. Anything. Your dish, your pan. Silver is silver. It's a very blunt, very simple term, and it wasn't broken down into anything scientific. So silver just meant plain old silver. I have probably talked to hundreds of overseas dealers in the last few years. Yep, hundreds long distance online. So this information I'm telling you is from my experience with dealing with a lot of people for decades, and hundreds of people, not just a few. I'm not just saying bad things. I've had tremendous amounts of experience in this area. All right, so this silver to them is just anything silver, like I'm telling you, and they will tell you anything or they don't know. One of the field tests that you can use is silver's fairly soft. We've talked about that before, and I talked to my people on eBay about that, and I keep discussing it with them. Silver is relatively soft, and it is going to bend fairly easy. This one kind of bends a little, not too much, but a little. And it gets a little bendy. Let's see that wiggle? It's a little bendy. This is a nice piece. Not going to bend real easy. I have a lot of people who want me to measure the airspace in between the cuff. Yeah, try not to laugh too hard. I tell them I don't measure the airspace in between the cuff, and I don't measure moving tires on a car. I'm not going to measure stuff that's moving in the air. I am not. I put my brakes down on a few things in this life. There's no sense in measuring that space because this is a piece of silver that's going to bend, and you can bend it however you want to bend it. So, once in a great while, if you buy a piece that has a stone right in the middle, and it's a great big huge stone, looks a little fragile, you can still bend it, but you might not want to bend it quickly because you could crack your stone. This one's good to go. You'll be okay, Vinny. Don't worry about it. So, you can also field test your silver if you're in the field. It's too hard to do this online. By rubbing it really roughly on a piece of white material. When you rub it on a white piece of material really rough, some of the silver is going to come off because silver is really soft. And then the silver rubs off. Or you can use your skin. You can do it on the back of your hand, the back of your arm. That's how we did it in the field as natives. Standing in the dirt in New Mexico. That's how we did it. Yep, we didn't have white material. You probably could do it on a piece of white paper. I don't know. All right, so these are probably coral from an ocean that's near Nepal, right in that Himalaya area somewhere. But when I bought and I lived there with those people, they told me the age on these and the stories and of where they came from and how they came were long gone. They had no clue. That's how old this is. That's how old they are. Initially, when I lived there and I came home, I had bought some strands of coral, but later on they were robbed in a house robbery, so they're gone. Yeah. And they were thousands of years old, and they were really beautiful and really red, like this material right here. I mean, cherry red coral. Beautiful stuff. Really nice. The older coral tends to be extremely red from certain areas, but you still have to watch your older coral. And I talked on another show about that and how to soak your coral to see if it's dyed. This is not dyed coral because I know where it came from. This came from a very reputable dealer in India, and they actually have sons that go up and down and live around the area of Nepal and Tibet, and they actually buy some of the older stuff and then put it on display in their store. Yeah. I was actually very lucky to get this for the price I paid for it, and I can tell you, I did not make a profit off this piece. Yeah. I had put it up initially for $400, but I couldn't find a buyer, so I had dropped it to almost half price, and now Vinny has it. So Vinny's got a really nice old piece. And I'm going to talk to you now about the centers down inside. This doesn't have a maker's mark. It's not marked silver. And it was carved initially and put together with pieces. They pieced this all together with some simple pieces and then sat there all day long and mass produced them. I've actually watched jewelry be made in these foreign countries and knew some jewelers in foreign countries that I'm telling you about today. I put a nice piece of buckskin, soft buckskin in here with a waterproof stuff like shoe goo. Yeah, believe it or not, shoe goo is really nice, and it's nice on the inside of your jewelry. And I talked to you on another show about doing stuff like that. You want to try to put a piece of leather on the inside of your jewelry sometimes to make them softer and more comfortable. This had like a big groove on the back. I didn't like how it fit me when I wore it, so I put that leather in there to help build that groove up so it sits a little more perpendicular on your wrist, and it made it kind of soft and nice. Vinny, if you don't like it, you can just rip it right back off there and just peel that shoe goo right off. It'll rub off. Leather buckskin on the back of bracelets has been done for an extremely long period of time. It used to be traditional because Native Americans like stuff. Actually, it was a little more comfortable. Yeah, believe it or not. And it also kept your stacks from making a lot of noise. I stack mine, and my watch has a piece of buckskin on the inside of it. I don't know if you can see it down in there. Yeah, there's a piece of buckskin on the inside of mine. And that way, they're not clicking and clanging all the time. They're not making a ton of noise. As I've gotten older, I wear a lot more stuff, so it tends to make a lot of noise. And these would be quieter if I had some type of leather or buckskin on the inside also, but I don't have that with those. Okay, so what else am I talking about? You see the silver testing, the stone testing, the adding the buckskin, also for sizing, because a lot of times, for instance, this one here is kind of big. It was about a 7.5, 7/4 length. So it's perfect for a guy. It's perfect for Vinny. But for me, I didn't particularly want to stack it that large. And so putting the leather on the inside made it a little tighter, little softer, a little closer to my wrist instead of further up my arm, because you can stack further up. And when you stack further up, sometimes you want the longer ones, so you can just slide them up. I don't have any way to put this down so I can show you. For instance, if I stretch that red one and put it on now, it would look really nice, and it would definitely be big enough. It wouldn't be like one of the smaller ones here. So let me see what else. Testing. Yeah, you want to watch your foreign dealers online, because they just either they're playing with you or they don't know. One or the other. They just don't. And so you've got to watch what you're doing, so you end up getting silver that's actually sterling and not made out of like some old pans and crap, or I don't know, whatever kind of weird crap they had laying around that they melted down. Yeah, because I've got some amazing stuff that's just mind-boggling from those countries. Asia, Southeast Asia, ancient Persia, and it's made out of the cheapest, crappiest silver metal you could possibly imagine. Yeah, and it's amazing stuff. So, to them, silver is silver. It's not because of the content, it's because it's a color, and it's category. All silver is silver. Doesn't matter. And it's real hard to get gold in those countries, too. They don't fully understand gold either, and they're not able to talk about gold that much. At least when you're dealing with the layman, the jewelers, the people who make this stuff. When I lived in Nepal, India, Turkey, and Tibet, I actually lived in one of the streets with the people. I lived down the street from several monasteries and Buddhist monk temples. Yes, I lived basically with Buddhist monks. The monks did not live with the rich. Yeah, food for thought, just like Christ. And I did not stay in a fancy Hilton hotel or something like that. I think there was a nice hotel when I was there. One nice hotel. but there wasn't very many of them. And my hotel cost me about $1.60 a week. Yes. And I had a nicer hotel. I had a hotel with its own bathroom. You didn't have to share with anyone. Yeah, Nepal used to be like one of the baddest, neatest places to go to acclimate and live, Kathmandu, like the old Bob Seger song. I'm going to Kathmandu, and anything you want me to do. Kathmandu is right below Mount Everest, and you could acclimate there and get a really cheap hotel there. Without a bathroom, I think some hotel rooms were like $1 a week. Yeah. And but that was back then. And it was cheap to rebuy camping equipment because a lot of climbers would dump, either going up or coming back. Yeah, they changed your mind. So there were tons and tons of stores of the most fabulous climbing winter gear you ever saw in your life. But it wasn't cheap. And a lot of people would have children that they would get their kids to go out into the field and out below Mount Everest and in the climbing areas and the paths and the walkways and the whole territories where the Sherpas were, because climbers along the way would just dump, either go climbing up or coming back. They would just dump their gear, and they'd make their kids go out and go pick up the gear and drag the gear back in town. Yeah. And then they'd put it up for sale. Yeah. It was a lot better than just dumping it on the ground. Yeah, so it was a badass place to go shopping, kind of. I mean, there was stuff that you can't even believe, because there were climbers from all over the world. And that was back then, 90, 91, 89, 90, 91, right around in there. All right, so I don't want to talk too long about interesting stories about Nepal. Sorry about that. What it is, hey, the Rock and ROADSHOW. Get it, Jim? I got a friend named Jim. He goes, oh, wait, no, that wasn't Jim that said that. Jim was mad at me for not using a tripod. Jim, if you watch the shows, the tripod broke when I was beating mosquitoes a few sessions ago. Yeah, and I think it was one of the funniest shows I've ever seen in a long time. I put that on replay. I laughed so hard I peed my pants. The entire show was smacking mosquitoes, and finally the tripod broke. Just fell on the ground, and you could hear me going, oh, and it was the end of the show, because the phone shut off. All right. So, that's this piece here, and you want to take a look at my eBay as much as you can. There's still more stuff on there. There's going to be more stuff coming. It just takes me a lot of time to get it done, because it has to be restored or restrung or reset, or I have to order stones. I order stones from all over the world. Then I get them in, and sometimes they have to be sanded just right by hand, and it takes some time, and to fit them in, get them just set up just right so they don't look like junk, so they match and so they're not broken. And you saw one of my shows the other day. I was showing you how to work on this bracelet here and get that bezel soft and get that bezel not screwed up. Remember? Look how nice that bezel is now. You can hardly tell, huh? Yeah, do you guys remember yesterday's show? I showed you that piece. Check it out, man. Did you see yesterday's show and I showed you that bezel, that last bezel? And I said, I'm going to smooth that bezel down with that stick, because we used to use matchsticks. You can't even tell that piece was set. Look at that. Told you. Yeah, so, yeah, just in case you thought I was really making stuff up, I'm not. I'm too old, too tired to make stuff up. Yeah, this is that bezel I showed you. I think it was yesterday. See how nice that bezel came out? I don't know, guys. I don't know if you remember how choppy it looked. Let's see if I can get this iPhone 15 to cooperate. Yeah, you don't need a tripod, Jim. I need an iPhone. It's not a piece of crap. Look at me. I got a clean lens and everything. And can't even get this iPhone to do what it's supposed to do. This is that bezel. This one right here. Do you guys remember from the other night? Check this out, man. Check that. Check that. See that? Look at that. I did that with a stick from the ground. And I was telling you guys how you can use a matchstick. Do you remember what it looked like compared to this? You can almost hardly tell that this bezel's been messed with. Yep, did it last night. Sure did. Sure did. Yep. So, yep, Benny, this coral's gonna look real nice with turquoise if you got some turquoise. If you don't, come by my shop, come by my store. I'll hook you up. So, I think I've got this one pretty much done. Talking about the different field tests. So you know you got the good stuff or not. How old it is, what's going on. Story about Nepal. Oh, check this out. I'm glad this is here. I'm going to show you this. Oh, I'm glad I did this. Check this out. So you ready for this? Do you remember my show last night? And I told you guys the difference between Navajo bezels. And they use a silver sheet. And then they use the twist and come around the bezel. And I said that's clearly Navajo. Look at these bezels. Look how they match. Let's see if I can get this iPhone. You know, I'm trying to do the show and the dog just farted. Unbelievable. I'm so glad you guys aren't there for this moment. See how there's this flat sheet that's been going around the bezel and then the twist? Just like the antique Navajo piece. Check that out. Yeah. So I noticed quite a few other things that looked a lot alike, like Navajo, when I lived in Nepal. Yep. And when I lived in Turkey. For instance, when you go to eat the food that they have in Turkey, they have a bread that's like fry bread, and it's real flat, and then they put the vegetables or meat or cheese or whatever it is they have available on it, and roll it and eat it. Yeah, it's a lot like some Mexican food, but for Turkey to be so similar to Navajo, that's amazing because it's so far away and so different. And the word turquoise, Turk, actually comes from Turkey and meant the word, and it actually means blue. Yeah. Look at those colors together. Aren't those neat? It's no wonder we do this kind of stuff, huh? Yeah, so all those guys that don't know why the women collect this stuff and love it so much, it's moments like this. There isn't anything else we can do anymore. We can dress like a pagan and have so much fun. The old hippie days come back for a few moments, you know. Anyhow, foods were very similar to Navajo and Turkey, and words, and some symbols and designs. And I thought that was very fascinating. And many, many years ago, I read these paper things called a book. Yeah. And I read quite a few of them. And I looked stuff up to see if there was language similarities with the Navajo and the Turkish. And see if there was some type of correlation and why they were related. Yeah, and the only thing I could ever find in history was there was a great possibility, and it was slightly mentioned, that ancients, around the time when Egypt was a major hub on planet Earth, that there was a lot of people who traveled, and it's possible that the Turkish traveled hundreds and thousands of years ago to New Mexico. And when they came to go up around the Grand Canyon area, yeah, don't call me a conspiracy theorist. I have my degree in archaeology. And I've been boots on the ground, and I read paper books, and I've lived in these countries. There's a good possibility that Turks were traveling with some of the Egyptians and or the other tribes through the centuries and through the times, because they found even proof of Vikings coming through and Jesuit priests coming through, and they were Turkish. There still are, and they could have very well traveled and somehow met the Navajo and decided to come up and bring some of their ideas. Even though it's written that the idea basically came from the Spaniards on how to set the bezels and stones and how to do the silver work, the similarities are just, I think, mind-blowing. Pretty neat. Well, Minnie, I think you'll be happy. And someday you might be able to get maybe more stars put across the top. I don't know. If I had a lot of time to spend on it, I would probably do that. And I'm so glad you guys stopped by. And don't forget to click and subscribe. For some reason, after 5 years, YouTube has me with only 18 subscribers and 1 like. I'm not making it up. You guys can go in, take a look at my channel, Rock and Roadshow, and you can check it for yourself, man. You can check it out. Hey, how's your bracelet looking today?